Here in my hand, I hold arguably the most refined, premium SOG pocket knife they've ever released, the 10XR folder. And you can feel that every time you deploy the blade and grip the contoured 3D handles. But as you guys know, there are no safe queens allowed here at the channel, and I've been carrying and using this folder extensively over the last few months to really see if SOG can truly deliver on this concept of premium precision, or were their corners cut in craftsmanship, causing it to fall short in overall performance. So I'm really looking forward to this action-packed video on not only the manual variant, but I'll highlight where the automatic comes into play, and why on earth would I have the SOG Steel XR titanium lined MagnaCut steel American-made blade as a competitive option? I mean, these things are polar opposites. You'll find out, and it'll make a lot of sense when we get into this video. So I can feel the wind coming on one of these New Year polar vortexes, so we're gonna hop back into the shop and start breaking down this blade. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron. This is Gideonstactical. Let's dive in. Ooh la la, king of the castle, king of the castle. You may feel like the king of the castle if you're EDCing this blade. And I want to preview right away by saying I've said 01 a couple times when I've been preparing. It's the 10XR, which I believe has a secret meaning that I'll highlight a little bit later. But you know, EDC knives, gentleman folders like this, oftentimes look really good. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the aesthetics are delicious. They don't always perform, but I gotta tell you, out of the gate, one of the biggest highlights is not only the aesthetics of that blade, just look at it. Just look at it, look at it there. It's the fact that they used cryo-treated CPM, S35VN, Rockweld 60 to 62. Now, some people may say that, oh, cryo is like, you know, marketing ploy, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it's a marketing ploy or not. I know some companies do it. I feel like it does help a little bit. Maybe, again, it's like a placebo effect for the steel. I don't know. But the main point is the 60 to 62 HRC. Most companies do 58 to 60, including like White River Knives. Great OEM. That's what they do on most of their S35VN, which means that this is going to hold its edge for quite a long period of time, and I'm happy about that on a folder. If it was a big survival knife, that'd be too high, you know, for impact. But for this type of pocket knife, I was stunned with the performance and longevity of edge. I mean, we're on par there on HRC with like what Benchmade does with MagnaCut. Calling you out, Benchmade. But really pleased with that HRC choice, and I definitely noticed that this has held its edge better than many of my other S35VN steel blades. So that, in tandem with the 3.1 inch overall blade length, cutting edge is that as well, with a flat 2/3 high saber grind or flat grind with great edge geometry. They really did good edge geometry, great aesthetics, that little swedge right there. And then bringing that up on a 0.11 thick, so basically an 1/8 of an inch thick, and then just tears it up, man. Just tears up the material that you would be going through, which is so nice to see on a gentleman folder. Sometimes, again, they just look good, but they just freaking suck. And they don't actually do what they're supposed to, which is cut. This thing freaking cuts. So it's sporting tie-dye coating on my version. You can get them without. It wears great. Wears great. Now I know some people, that's kind of a high Rockwell. I know it's going to take more effort to resharpen if and when it does damage. I haven't seen any chipping either. You know, you bust out something like a Sharpel sharpener. This thing is a leather strop. It's not a sheath. Sometimes you guys are like, is that a sheath? You know, no, it's a diamond stone. This thing is sick. I'll have links to that as well as all the stuff you see here, the mat, all the other things. I know you guys always ask. Those are in the description box below. You can check it out. So I mean, you're going to have to take more time, effort with a sharpening stone than other S35VN, but you won't have to do it as often. So benefits there. Now, as we move into the second attribute that I'm really enjoying about the tool, and that they really showed their expertise of precision, and it kind of sets the bar to me for SOG moving forward. I'm like, if you guys can do it on this knife, I want to see it in other knives. So it's the action. So we're rocking bronze caged ball bearings. So we have bronze washers, caging ball bearings on this type of knife, no problem. If we're talking a huge tactical blade, you know, I'd prefer washers or something. So you have a chamfered thumb hole right there, so it's not sharp. A lot of companies miss that and they just punch a hole and move on. And it's really sharp. It's chamfered, but you can still engage it. So you can use your back middle finger right there and go whoosh, like that. You can use your thumb and flick open like that. Some people comment sometimes, why are you always flicking the blade? I'm like, well, I mean, I guess I could go like this if I was a weirdo. But for most people, bam, flick it open that way, or just pull back on the XR lock itself, releasing the blade and flinging it open that way. So it is super fidget friendly. It coasts and is creamy smooth on the ball bearings. And here's where this is really cool. And you notice the attention to detail here and just the effort. Most crossbar locks you can fling open. Here's a Duralock from Kershaw, right? The Iridium. I'm not touching the bars at all. Boom. I can just flick open the blade. The tension is okay, but doesn't take much to overcome the blade, and then it just flies open, right? And many are like that. Here's an Ultratech, or not an Ultratech, sorry, a Microtech. But there you go. I mean, again, I don't even have to touch it. I'm not even touching that, and it flings open. I cannot get this blade to fling open. Won't do it. It won't do it. The tension is enough there. It's not much. I mean, like I feel it. I feel it's more than those other ones, but it's not like I'm like, ugh, you know, as you just saw there. I mean, I can just press and boom, and I can just back finger, whoops, whoosh, flick that thing. Then finally, as I've stated earlier, I've had it for months. The centering is still superb. The pivots haven't like loosened up and backed themselves out. The tip is recessed and buried in the handle there, and it's really tight. For ball bearings and this type of lock, a lot of blades have some slop, almost no slop. Very, 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 very tight after months of carrying and thousands of literally deployments at this point over the last few months playing with this blade. Now, let's look at ergos and ergonomites and that little secret meaning behind the name. But I do want to invite you guys to like and subscribe. If you haven't yet, become part of the GT crew. Hit the bell icon so you can be notified every week. Every week, I'm doing multiple videos on gear and equipment, showing you pros, cons, so you make wise choices on whether or not a blade sucks or a particular other piece of gear, or it's delicious and you're like, I gotta digest this thing and get it in my life. That, along with you guys, the viewers, and our regular sponsors like ZOLEO, make videos like this possible. Quick shout out to them. They're amazing with their satellite communication device. I've had it for years now. And you're going, well, I have a satellite like SOS button on my cell phone. Okay, here's the problema with that. One, my cell phone battery lasts maybe 8 hours, 10 max if I'm lucky. And $1,000 cell phone, I don't have quickly accessible when I'm doing my extreme sportage, snowboarding, skiing, snowshoeing, whitewater rafting, name the activity, rock climbing. That if I have it even on me, it's buried in a waterproof bag, like in my pack or somewhere. This has over 200 hours of battery life. So will last literally for days without a charge, and is standalone with shock and water resistant capability. So I can just clip it on my pack, I can let it snow, rain, go whitewater raft, do whatever I gotta do, and I'm gonna have access to the Iridium satellite network and be able to either push the SOS button and globally communicate with first responders. They're gonna get my GPS coordinates. I can even message them, let them know what's going on. Or I can just hit the check-in button, let my wife and those people in my network know that I'm okay and that everything's groovy, or Bluetooth sync my phone and text and communicate that way off grid when there's no cell phone coverage. So to me, it really brings a level of versatility that no SOS button on a phone is ever going to deliver. That's me and that's my mileage. So I will have a link popping up here as well as in the description box below, along with my exclusive promo code that can waive the $40 activation fee so that you can start exploring through that link the different subscription plans that easily fit in any budget, and just start exploring with confidence when you have your satellite communicator on your person. So now, with all of that said, let's look here at the handles. This one piece on either side of aluminium for all you people over across the pond, is completely machined, and I believe the 10 name stands for the one pivot screw and 0 other attachments. These have hidden fasteners, which is really cool, extremely rare to see if ever, and really sets this knife apart. And you can see all these little grooves and like concaves that they've done on that piece of aircraft grade aluminum, so you could fold this up and create your own little airplane if you wanted to. Gosh, would that be cool. But what is awesome with this is that they have chamfered and rounded literally every single angle on the handle. There is no sharp points, hot spots anywhere on this handle. And I wear large size gloves, have a hand width of 3.25 right there. And you can see how much real estate is on the back end. And it honestly, because of just how smooth and groovy this handle feels, honestly, it reminds me of a bushcraft knife. This could be a bushcraft folder, but man, do I feel in control, even though it is like slick, if you will, aluminum. Lots of color combinations, including white, which is really unusual, kind of sets it apart on the handles. And I think it's got blue and black and maybe one or two other color combinations. Now, and it brings us to really the only point on the design that I'm not a huge fan of, which is the pocket clip. Deep ride, recess, loop over. I mean, you're gonna like bury it in the pocket. There's a screw inside here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Rocking the Nitecore MTA 1A Pro, rechargeable, but can run I think a AA or AAA as well. Super sick. So you can unscrew that, swap it right or left. So totally ambi down in there. And on top of that, works really well, and it doesn't really bite, but this is the problem. The flare is just super obnoxious. It's super obnoxious, kind of looks goofy, could catch on stuff. It's not necessary for this type of knife. They should have just cut it like right there and not added this whole flat portion right there. It's just not my favorite. Everything else about it is awesome. I'm just not super stoked on the pocket clip. So ultimately, guys, this is where it sits, and why you might be asking, this is in play. Why on earth would I have this out here? Well, honestly, I've been scratching my head on why this blade isn't a lot more popular, and I'm discovering there's only one reason. You know, I thought it might be like some other issue, or there's this problem or that. There's nothing wrong with the design. The design is mind-boggling. I think it actually comes down to value. This guy is going to run you $269, $270 on the SOG website, which is actually one of the cheaper places you can find it, which is kind of hilarious. So I'll have links popping up there in the description below for everything, again, that we're talking about. But at $270 for a Taiwanese made knife, even though it's excellent and all the quality control, fit and finish, everything else, I think it's just pretty steep for a lot of people to get their head around. As an example, if we look at the American-made S35VN version of the SOG Steel XR, that version is $225. So it's a bit less than this model, and a lot bigger, a lot thicker, a lot more going on in theory, except for the handles, than what is going on this 1.0, excuse me. And then this American-made version with Magna Cut steel, 3 different handle scales, and titanium liners is $300. The same cost as the automatic version. The automatic version is going to be $300. So I feel like it's a little outside of the cost. And again, you can maybe justify that through the handle scales, different things. But I feel like $200, $225 would really be a sweet spot for this. And I think a lot more people would start gravitating to this design, in my opinion, for the manual version. Where it sits right now, I mean, if you love SOGs or you have been thinking about it and been on the fence, I mean, there's zero complaints that I have with everything that you've seen today. But you're just going to pay for it. You're going to pay for that milling on the handle scales. You're going to pay for that higher Rockwell on the blade and some other, attributes. So that's why I think that, and that could be a hang up, I know, for some people, is just, value to performance, the return on investment. So that's going to be up to you guys. I look forward to hearing from you. What is your thought, your take, particularly if you own the 1.0 XR? What is your experience? Do you like it? Do you not? Always appreciate your guys' data and feedback. I do invite you to check out the other video popping up, to subscribe again if you haven't. And until next time, always remember to stay equipped, stay prepared. I'll see you out there.